Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations podcast, where we normalize hard, emotional, and raw conversations, such as grief, infertility, mental health, menopause, and all other sister-friend talks, sprinkled with a lot of laughter for the soul. We encourage our community to focus on areas of growth, becoming a better version of self each day, and exercising in faith over fear. As we redefine ourselves as life shifts and we rearrange the puzzle pieces. I am your girl, Tamekia R. Moon, and in this first season, we are focusing on grief, a journey that we will experience but rarely discuss and normalize our feelings. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on IG at Happy Hour Conversations Podcast. Before we jump into the episode, let me share this week's affirmation. This week, we are going to focus on you. Yes, you are enough. Ladies, know that you are enough. To my young girls, to my young precious girls, know that you are enough. Tell yourself, your sister friend, that you are enough. We are responsible to affirm each other. Men, a hold to my men. Affirm the women and girls in your life. Your words of affirmation carries a lot of power. Let's jump into the episode. Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations podcast. I am your girl, Tamekia, bringing voices, stories, and laughter to the mic. Today episode is special. I have Miss Diona Clark here with me today. And listen, it's special, one, because it is Diona Clark. But two, this is Dayton family, DYT. We are from Dayton, Ohio, residing here in Columbus, Ohio. Yes. And not only that, but this is Meadowdale fam. Lion, black and gold all the way. So this moment right here in space is very special to me. So I'm going to take a minute and have Diona introduce herself.
Well, first, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I'm always grateful to be able to be on different spaces and platforms that will allow me to just share my journey of where I come from to where I am now, to be able to help others navigate certain spaces that they may be finding difficulty in. So I'm grateful for that. And just like you said, it's special because we are from Dayton. We went to the same high school, but I think we went to Route together too.
Oh yeah, my
so
gosh.
We go way back. Way back. I think we had like a year difference.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh my
so
goodness.
that long. Middle school.
We went to middle school together.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen. I tell you, when you get 45, the brain, man. Listen, you are right.
Yes.
We caught the yellow bus.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we went to Rock
Oh
together,
my goodness, yes.
So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
So Diona, tell us who you are. Tell us who you are and give us 2 to 5 minutes of your backstory.
So I am, first of all, I'm Diona Clark. And what makes me Diona Clark is, of course, my worldly view from my own life experiences. I was raised by a single mom half of my life. And that experience by itself just caused me to be a very determined person in life. Just seeing some of the things that my mom dealt with, faced with, struggled with, some of the resources that she didn't have, but still, out of all that adversity, she made life look easy. Raising kids, she made it look easy. And now I'm an adult, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need a mental health day. It was no mental health day for my mom. Like, she was on at all times. And so I'm coming from that background, definitely put me in position to be or go through adversity, my own adversity. Mm-hmm. So seeing my mom do what she do and then going through my own life experiences really helped me and really propelled me into where I am now as a survivor of domestic and gun violence. I was shot twice at point blank range when I decided to leave my estranged ex-boyfriend. And with that, I had my lung collapse. I had my left lung collapsed, my rib bone was chipped, and I had to have micro hand surgery in my left hand because of the damage that the heat had done, the damage that the heat from the bullet had done to my veins in my hand. So I had to get all of that repaired. And it actually took place here in Columbus. So moving back home to Dayton and my mom getting me together and then just resetting my mind, I found I found life in a fitness called Zumba. I love to dance, and that's exactly what it was, Latino and mixing with a little hip hop. And so I came back to Columbus with that as a Zumba instructor, and it actually became a vehicle for me to open up and share my story to the women in my class, and then that propelled me into being in the community, doing the work as an advocate for domestic and gun violence, and that took me into writing 2 books and then help pass laws for survivors of domestic violence, and then also just being at the seat and the table with all of those different professions that work with or deal with domestic violence victims, and just advocating for, again, better laws, better treatment, better resources, and things of that nature. So I'm here now. Did my own mental health journey, just trying to get past the trauma and not stay stuck in it. So I'm on the other side of healing, and like it's a whole new life. Like when I believe in God, and so when the Bible talks about being a new creature, like I feel like that's the state and position I'm in right now, where I'm a new creature, in God, in life. And this position that I'm in right now, like it feels so good. It feels so good. Like I feel total freedom. Where I came from with that dark side of just living in fear because of the trauma I experienced, like it's not there anymore. And it's amazing to me to actually be here. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, but it's true healing though. This is the result of when you take that process and get the healing you need.
Can you tell us, can you give us a time frame of when things took place?
Yes. So I was shot in 2005. I was shot in 2005. And so just think from 2005, and being honest, it took me to literally probably 2021 to be like healed.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, okay. Like it's a process.
So from 2005, and then of course you went through your process, and then 2021 is when you realize, like, okay, I have been through all of this, and now I'm on the other side of my story. What were your driving forces, and what were your driving forces that pushed you to live? Like, what pushed you?
So for me, it was definitely like myself, like being better for myself, because when I realized that I ended up in certain situations and relationships because I didn't value me. And so when I thought about, okay, I really want to take this necessary steps to be healed, it was me. Like I did that thing for me. And then I thought about my nieces. Like they're little girls, and eventually they're going to grow up to be women. So I want to be the walking example for them, where they don't have to read a book or they don't have to turn to YouTube. They can come to me and say, well, Auntie, when you went through such and such, like, how did you go through it? And what are the steps you think for me? So looking at, my own family members, and then doing it for the survivors, for those that were in that position where they were stuck. Like, I'm in this situation, or I've experienced this trauma, and I just don't know how to move from that trauma to the other side of it. And when I look at that, it's just like, that was my reason why. Now, if you want to know my reason why, literally the day that I got shot, my mind went to, I don't want my mom to see me in a casket. And when I thought about me being in a casket, and then thinking I didn't want my mom to see me in a casket, it literally gave me the energy to escape and run from my apartment at that time, and just go knock on doors and things of that nature. So yeah, it many reasons why I decided to live, and I'm so glad I did, because there were times where
I'm glad you did too.
it was times where I was just like, going through, having the anxiety, and diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because of what I experienced. Like, there's like these unwanted thoughts that keep coming on and playing in your mind, especially being by yourself, which could be a very scary and dark moment when you haven't gotten the necessary treatment. For me, it was just like, man, I'm tired of all this. Like, let me just, I had a gun at the time. Like, let me go ahead and just take myself out, so I will not have to deal with these voices ever again. But again, it was just, I thought about like what it would look like if I wasn't here.
Wow. Yeah. Can you walk me through the process of like your healing process and the steps that you took?
Yes. So, one thing was let me see so I became when I moved back here, I started working for Child Protective Services, and so what happened was I began to get cases that were a domestic violence
Mm.
involvement, and so my supervisor put me into the office and she was like, "Hey, Dion, I'm looking at your cases and you're thriving in this area, but when it comes to these cases, I'm seeing a little something here." And I mean, what discernment was that? Like, and I literally think when as I'm sitting here right now, like that definitely was God, because for her to catch that and actually have enough like the decency to be like, come on now,
Mm-hmm.
let me see, you got some going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I told her what happened to me, and she was like, well, we get free counseling services, so go on ahead and look into that. And I took 3 months off and really did some, I would say, to me it was surface work with this first therapist.
Okay.
And so I still was dealing with things and battling with things from my past, and I got another therapist. And this therapist was good. It was a good therapist. Actually, she was a wonderful therapist. It's
What
just
type
that I
of
need to run.
therapist? Because I think there's different type of
Mm-hmm.
therapists, right? So at the time, and the different therapists you've seen, like
Mm-hmm.
what type of therapist was this particular?
General.
General.
These were
Okay.
general. This was the first two were general therapists, and I'd say the second one, she kind of really focused on some trauma.
Okay.
She did focus on some trauma because she did the um EMRD, I think that's what it's called,
Mm-hmm.
where they try to help you desensitize that memory of what you experienced. So if you're ever in something similar like that, or may feel like you're in that, you won't act out of your trauma. You can kind of normalize your environment and be like, okay, I don't need to act like that.
Okay.
So going from her, I and let me even say this: when I moved back to Dayton, I put myself in my room. Like I didn't. First of all, I spent maybe 3 months staying in bed with my mom
Mm-hmm.
because it's just out of fear. Then I move into my own room, and what I ended up doing was I shut myself down into and confined myself to that space of my room, because for me it was safe. Like when I think about it, it was a very safe space for me, because my safety had been violated. And so my mom, she was like, I'm noticing something. I'm like, yeah. She was like, you come out to eat, you may come out to talk to me for a little bit, but she was like, you go into your room. And I'm like, I didn't notice that. But what I was doing in my room was I would get all these books from the library, and there would be self-help books, and I would just indulge in these self-help books. And so my mom was like, maybe you should see a therapist. And I was like, okay, I'll go see a therapist. And so go see this therapist. And this is in Dayton at the time. And I had regurgitated everything I had read to this therapist. And she said, you know what? You seem like you got everything together and you healthy. You compartmentalize everything mentally very good. Come back when you need to. At the time, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just come back when I need to. But what faulty information that was to give to someone who
Mm-hmm.
had experienced trauma. Like, I had just, like, it's still 2005,
Yeah.
maybe '06. And this is my first time interacting with a therapist, and you say, come back when you want to. Of course, you give me the option. I'm not going to come
Yeah.
back. And so I didn't. And then, like I said, when I moved up here, I went through the two therapists. And like I said, that second one, she was really good. She was good for me. But then I had got engaged, and in my engagement and prior to my engagement and just dating, I noticed some things about not only myself but the person that I was engaged with that were triggering. And so I called off my engagement, and I'm just gonna put a pin right there when we talk about, if I can, because I'm gonna help somebody out.
Yes.
I really want to help somebody out in this. So when I got engaged, and I started noticing, well, it wasn't even like I started noticing these things. I think it was just I had become of age where I was just like, something needs to be different internally, and I need to do something different. And so I just started like looking at my life and becoming self-aware. And I noticed that the relationship at the time was just not good. And so when I got engaged, still the same. And everything for the wedding was paid for. Like when I say everything. The only thing that needed to happen was the women needed to order their dresses. That was it. The women. That was the only thing. And I couldn't sleep for a couple of nights, and I knew why. And so, I went up to him and I was just like, we need to talk. And he was like, you don't want to get married, do you? And I'm like, nah, I don't think we should get married. And so a lot of times women will, because I get this question like, how did you do that, Diona? Because like some women to be like, I was already in it, like I had to go through it or whatnot. And some are like, I knew I shouldn't have, but I went anyway. Like I literally had to shut everything down, and I really had to process and say, am I okay with things being this way for the rest of my marriage? Am I going to feel okay? And is that other person going to feel okay? Is this going to be a healthy marriage? And I knew it wasn't. So I was just like, no. I didn't. I didn't care. Like, I'd rather be embarrassed now than be embarrassed in 3 months, 6 months saying I want to divorce.
Trying to make something work.
Yeah, like,
and it's not working.
No, and I'm just going through this thing, moving on somebody else's time. So, we stopped the engagement, and then it was like COVID. So, it was like 2020. I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to take my healing serious. And so my sister ended up going to see this therapist only one time, but she came back and was like, I think he's for you. And it was a white man, which I was looking for a black woman. And when I tell you that this white man did gave me a 360, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was just like, you know what? It's almost like you're my best friend. Like, I kick with you. Like, I can call you, and you just help me work out some spaces. I was just like, it was amazing to me, the work that he gave me and being able to process all of that and do what I need to do, apply it, and to see where I am now. Like, I would never go to sleep without the TV on off. If the TV was off, I couldn't go to sleep. I needed it. Ever since I got shot, I needed it. Well, I moved into my apartment recently. I moved into an apartment.
Can we pause just real quick, just real quick, because I want to make sure I don't miss this point of a therapist, right?
Okay.
Because I think too often first of all, in our community, I think we are just now pushing going to go see therapists, right, and getting mental health. But to your point, I think it's also this myth of I gotta have somebody that look like me. I gotta have somebody. If they don't look like me, I want them to be the same color as me, right? Let me check their background, because I feel like we may think that this person is going to understand me better and they're more relatable, right? And that's not true. That's not always the case. Now, I'm not saying that it cannot happen, but it's not always the case. So to your point, I just want to make sure that we say on here to be open-minded. Be open-minded, y'all, when you're looking for a therapist, because a person, because you can get on the little screen and filter, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. But also do your due diligence and research the person, check out the vibe. But to Deanna's point, it doesn't mean another ethnicity doesn't mean they're not going to be able to help you. And it was a man. So,
yes.
So I just want to make sure we really hone in on that point. But go ahead.
No. I mean, I totally agree with everything that you're saying, because one, a man being my therapist, it was a man that had violated me, and like, you trespassed my safety, like my safety guard. So now I'm very vulnerable. You left me vulnerable, and in this very scared place. And so it was weird, because when I first met him, he literally, the first thing he talked about was boundaries, and how he demonstrated it with some jump rope and everything, and asking me if I was okay with the proximity of me and him in his office.
He understood the assignment.
Girl!
He understood the assignment.
Girl! Like, mind blowing. I was like, okay. And he had a dog. Like, I don't do dogs at all. I don't. And this was a big dog, big-headed and everything. And I said, sir, I'm so scared of dogs. And he said, just give me some time. And I'm like, okay. Before I knew it, the dog was in my lap and everything. And I was okay. I was okay. So it's just like his way of, it was, to me, I know it was God.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was God to have me connect with this man because I'm a total different person. Of course, everything, God first, but I believe God also put people on earth that has what we need.
Yep,
and that man had all the tools that I needed to be who I am today. And I'm so thankful for it. I am. I'm so thankful for it.
Amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing. But that therapist, he understood the assignment when he asked about boundaries. I listen. I am here. I'm here for it. I love it.
Yep.
Can you share? When did you decide that you were going to use your story for purpose?
Kind of going back to when I was a Zumba therapist, Zumba instructor. I shared my story. I remember sharing my story the very first time in that class. And
were you sharing it because you felt like other women may have been going through the same thing, or were you sharing it because you wanted to, like, just be a voice? You feel like you needed to talk it out.
I wanted to be a voice. I didn't necessarily feel that women were going through domestic violence. It was more so of allowing them to come into this space that they can actually have ownership of, and whatever they were dealing with on the external outside of that class, like, it didn't matter at that time. Like, this was their time for them. And so I wanted to set that environment for them. And when I shared my story, what happened was I kept getting these women coming to class saying, hey, I remember when you shared your story and it has empowered me to do X, Y, and Z. And so what I would do is just, like, always say something encouraging after the class, because now these women are coming back. It's like a ripple effect. They're going out and they're coming back and they're saying, I changed. And I wasn't getting, most of the time, if you're a fitness instructor, you want to hear praise reports about, oh my God, my eating is different. Oh my God, I lost the weight. And so they were coming back to me like,
my waistline is smaller.
Girl, yes. They came back like, I left the person that I was with. I've done some things differently as a mother. I'm signing up for school. My self-esteem has been increased in this class. So hearing those type of reports or just good stories, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I'm on to something here. I really do. And then from there, I just got invited to come do a class in the community, and I just would put a little spin on it with my experience.
Wow. So you opening up, setting an example, which you create a safe space. And in order to do that, you got to feel like you safe in your own space, right? Exactly. And so that's what you did.
Yep.
Wow. So you've done the healing process, right? Tell me what the healing process looks like as it relates to relationships. So intimate, work relationships, family relationships, like, because you're still healing. So it has to be a part where you're still questioning people's, their behaviors, their motives, and trusting. So what does the healing process looks like as it relates to other people and relationships?
So for me, as far as work, I would say I'm aware, like, when it, like, as far as when I get it, any type of case, even then when I was a caseworker, now I'm a program coordinator for our mentoring program. Whenever I get a case and, like, they'll be like, oh, it's domestic violence involvement, I just make sure, like, there's our central nervous system is kind of like our awareness, physiology, well, our awareness system and our safety and security alarm. So I listen to that and feel if I feel anything in, like, within my body, which typically I don't feel it as much as I did before because I've done the work. But when I go into that, like, it's not, I never assume when I'm dealing with that family. It's always just kind of questioning to get more information, so that, because the more information I have, the safer I feel. And so just asking them questions and things of that nature, where before, even too, it was just like, don't give me a lot of domestic violence cases. Like, give me a few, but don't give me a lot, so that, I can manage it. For you. Exactly. Okay. Yes. With my this thing really kind of affect somewhat my relationship with my mom, because when I was dating a guy that shot me, like, me and my mom's relationship was on the outs a little bit, because at that time I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and she was telling me I shouldn't be with him, and I'm like, yo, you've been telling me what to do for all my life, let me just go ahead and do what I need to do.
And now y'all relationship was on the outs because of him, or was just other things?
It was,
and then that just added to it.
Nah, it was him. It was him and me being in that situation. And so now me and my mom, we have like the best relationship. Like I'm very open with my mom. I view her as a friend, but also I think what therapy has taught me with both my parents is they're human. And so you can't put your parents on a pedestal, because they're human, and humans are they're gonna make mistakes, they're gonna give you wrong information, but my mom and dad only gave me what they had within their capacity. So to have them at this pedestal is like I'm setting myself up to believe that they're superheroes, and they're not. And so working through that and healing actually allowed me to see especially my mother, kind of like, I'm a woman too, Mom. You're a woman. If I have something I want to talk to you about, like, I'm comfortable now talking to my mom. I'm comfortable with setting boundaries with my mother now, where before it wasn't that. But going through this healing journey is like, there's certain things that I have to protect. And so I'm going to protect that by all means necessary against your mom, my dad, my sister, whoever.
So let's talk about that. How do we set boundaries? Like, if you had to tell someone right now, what are the steps to set? Because let me tell you, setting boundaries is not easy.
It's not. It's
hard. Very hard. Very hard. And it's not something that we're taught either.
No.
Right?
We're not.
So what does that look like? How do you set boundaries?
So the first thing is, I feel, is just looking at things that are important to you. Like, what matters to you. And that's why it's so important to be single. Like, be single and be whole. So that, and during that time of being single and becoming whole, you're putting all of these pieces of the puzzle of yourself together to become this one single person. And with that comes what I like, what I don't like, what makes me sad, what makes me happy, what makes me cry, what triggers me, and things of that nature. Like, learning you. Once you learn yourself, then you're able to put those boundaries in place. If you don't know yourself, then you just kind of like accepting whatever. And that, and just a sidetrack or a side note, when I met the guy that I was engaged to, like, it was like he handed me his playbook, like, this is how I roll, this is how I do things. Girl, it was just like, I was like, okay, this is what you do, okay, and that was it. I didn't say, here go my playbook, you know. And so now it's just like, yeah, like, okay, you tell me how you roll, I'm gonna tell you how I roll too, and see if we match together. If we don't match together, then guess what? This ain't for neither one of us.
Absolutely,
it's not.
Absolutely.
It's so learning yourself.
Man, you just said the whole word.
Learning, like, for real. No, I'm telling you. And I even told him, like, we're friends. We're friends now. We talk and stuff like that. But I was just like, if I would have been this, I'm like, it could, like, I would have told you, like, you fine, you cute. Your resume look good,
but this ain't gonna work.
It's not. Just holler at me when that, because right now I can't do it.
Yeah,
like I just can't do it. But
it's so often that and I think I could say this for all women, right? But I think is we get into spaces and wanting to date, and to your point, like, we don't know ourselves, right? And we just accept.
Yep.
So, because I have people where now it's just like, people don't know what they like you said, don't like, but they can tell me everything about what their kids like, love, want to eat, what their husbands or significant other like, love, and want to eat. And I'm sitting there like, well, what about you?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. So it's almost like, pushing us to reclaim, like, who we are and our identity, because besides being whatever your situation is, right? Besides being in that situation, like, you need to have your own identity.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us don't.
We don't. We
just, like you said, accept and be like, okay. But to your other point is, when you get to the whole healing side, unstoppable, and we're a whole nother.
It's a whole new world.
Whole new world.
It's a whole new world. When you get it, it's a whole new world.
It's like 10.0.
Yeah, and like, it's like, I don't care. Like, this is what it is.
You don't like it or you don't?
Yeah, like, I'm sorry if you don't. Like, that's your issue. It's not my issue because, like, you start putting value to yourself. Once you do that investment, it's like, oh, I'm putting stock in myself.
Yep.
So don't you can't come and buy my time for $1. You can't do that. You can't come with $50. Like, it's so much. Actually, it's invaluable for real.
Right.
For real, it's invaluable. So you really gonna have to come with something that probably I don't have or may not be able to do on my own. And it's going to have to, again, appease me and be like, oh, you're right. I can't do that on my own. I do need somebody in order to get there. So, yeah, maybe we can sit down. But once you got it, man, I was just looking at this thing on singleness, and the man was just saying, once you're like for real happy by yourself and you're like, oh, I'm straight, I don't got to get married, then that's probably the time where you want to get married because you're not marrying out of need. And that's what I did. I held on to my ex because of a need that he felt. One thing about him was he was a provider. He was a protector, like all that.
All the things that we want, right?
Girl, he was all of that. And so coming from a space where my safety was violated and him to display that he could keep me safe, I'm there. Like, I'm right there. But then, as years went by, it was just like, okay, I need more than just some safety. I do so.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when you get to that other side of healing, I mean, your situation, we talking about domestic violence, but just in healing in general as a woman.
Yes.
Like, that thing is so powerful.
And you wear it. Like, I'm pretty sure most men would be like, oh, yeah, you can do what you want to do with that one. And that one, I don't know. That's going to be a tough cookie.
I'm scared of her.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't going to approach her. I got to do too much work for that one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, it is real out here. So I think, like, it's really important. We laughing, but it is real. Like, I do want women to know, like, it is important to really sit down and focus on yourself. And it is okay to tell somebody no. It don't require anything else other than that. No, period, exclamation mark, whatever you want to do. It is no. And just be, right? And to set those boundaries and whatever it looks like, it's time. Listen, I know for me, early on in life, I was yes for everybody. You need me to do this? But now, the 45-year-old Tamekia, I'm a different version, right? And every day I work to be the best version, a better version than I was the day before, right? And so there's just some things that once you get to the whole healing part, when you done peeled off them layers, you're not trying to put layers back on.
Girl, like, it's too far to go back that way. Like, it's too far. Me and my sister were talking, it's like, ain't it too far? That's a far drive. Like, that's deep. I want to go back there.
The ocean.
Yeah.
It's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I totally agree. So we talked about the relationships, but how do you recognize, like, some of your red flags, right? Because even though you're healing and that you're healed, you're on the other side, is it possible to still have triggers? Absolutely. And if so, how do you recognize them or red flags in any relationship that you get into?
Yeah. So first of all, your experience is a part of you. Like, it's now your life. The thing is just not allowing that experience, I'm going to say trauma, but don't allow the trauma to become a life sentence. Like, if we could think of our trauma as just an experience, as if we're going to the concert, we whooped a lot, how to dance, holler, hey, we saw our favorite artist, and then what we do, we go back home. The concert is gone. We wake up, that concert is gone. So it's almost the same way with trauma. If we can kind of visualize that, like, it's just an experience. It's not who we are. It's a part of my life, but it's not who I am. And so, if we give me your question again, because I want to make sure I answer.
Triggers.
Oh yes, so there are triggers, but there was.
And how do you identify them?
So triggers, there'll still be triggers, but the thing is, it's a different way of how you react to them. Like, you're able to manage yourself when a trigger comes, when you're faced with the trigger. So where you might have lashed out, or where you might have ran away, or just said, you know what, I can't do that. Well, now, after you go through your healing, you're like, okay, well, let's talk about this. Or, you know what, let me process it and I'll get back to you. Or, I'll confront it. Like, what you want to do? Like, I can talk about that. Yep. And then only that, it'll allow you to start putting those boundaries in place. Like, okay, this was a trigger and I don't need this person to continue to do that to me anymore. So I'm just going to let you know it didn't feel good. So I'm going to ask you not to do that anymore. And again, if a person keeps disrespecting your boundaries, then obviously, they have no respect for you. So to me, you move on from that relationship. But I feel like we're always going to have those triggers when we go through something traumatic. It's just about how we navigate through those triggers, which should be different once you're healed. And that's the way you can tell the difference between somebody that actually did the real work or somebody that just like quickly said, oh, I'm over it, done. No, because you're still acting the same way you acting like to me, in a relationship with a man, you can't make that man serve or move or act out of the way that's because somebody else did some damage to you. You can't put that expectation on that man.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's important to stop, break, don't deal with a man. Or I mean, maybe you can have a little relationship with whatnot, but you have to really do the work, because how fair is it? And that was another thing with me. I was like, I don't want to break a man. I don't want to break a man. And then I know if I break a man, he's going to carry that hurt onto a woman. And then we have this cycle of dysfunctional relationships. Yep. So I don't want to do that. So that was another reason why I called out the engagement. Let me get for real and get whole, because
girl, wait, but what was the response though after you called out the engagement? Let's go there real quick.
After I called out the engagement. So he was hurt, and he was hurt, which that's kind of expected. But he understood why I didn't do it. Like, I was just like, I realized that I have not been really healed from my incident. I was like, and I've seen how I move in this relationship based off of what happened to me. I was like, and it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. And so, he was like, okay, I get it. But I mean, men, they're just, man, I think okay. he had, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, but like I said, and that actually was a process for him, because, he did the big engagement. Like, it was at the airport after I came back from being on, doing a recording for the doctors. And just the whole setup was like, it was really, really nice. It was really dope. But I still had to think about me, him, and our relationship. And so, again, it's better to be single and unhappy than married and unhappy. Like, so I was just like, I don't want to be that person. I want to be whole. And I'm so happy that I did it. I feel like, people are like, do you feel like you made a mistake? No, I don't feel like I made a mistake at all, because I'm a new version of myself. Yeah. And if I did not stop that engagement, then I would have just been in this container of a Diona that accepted whatever.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things to do, and I'm speaking this from a single person, right? But also I'm speaking into it from having conversations from people who've been in relationships from a very young age. And I think one of the hardest things to do is grow together from a really young age, because nobody really knows themselves, right?
Yep.
And then in your situation, like you're saying, I would have got into it, but I am still healing and growing too. Like you're still becoming.
Yep.
Right? You're still getting to know Diona, this new version of Diona, right?
Yep.
This Diona that has survived this particular experience. So it even though it was 2005 and it sounds like a really long time, that was a hell of an experience.
Yeah. Death almost.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can't really put a timeline on what healing even looks like, right? You just know you got to work towards it. So to even think about having somebody along on that journey to still process that,
no,
that's a lot.
No,
and I don't even know if it's possible.
I feel like healing is a long journey. I wouldn't say
Yes,
and sometimes it can become lonely, but it's in a long
I agree.
journey. And that was something else I had to communicate with him. Like, I can't, because I had to separate myself. Plus, it was COVID, and even he was just like, I rarely see you and things like that. And I'm just like, I know. I was like, but I really, really need this in order for me to get what I
Mm-hmm.
need. And again, I'm so happy that I did, because first of all, you're you have to heal alone and by yourself, simply because we pick up things in life, and those things are contained within us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and we perceive those things from our own experiences, not our mom, not our dad. So therefore, in order to unravel all of that, like, that's a process, and that needs to be done by self, and not with the attachment of someone else. So I did it on my own, by myself, of course, with the support system of my family. But I'm glad I did it. Like, I'm glad it took me a long time, but hey, it was worth it.
Well, I'm proud of you, sis. I'm proud that you chose you, because it's
Yes.
not too often that we put ourselves first. And even though, like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't no easy decision, at that moment you chose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge.
Yep.
So I'm just going to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so
I
proud of
receive
you.
it. I receive it. I receive it.
Man. Um, let's talk about, so as it relates to domestic violence, we have probably a lot of resources for victims, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really sure if we have something for the people who cause it,
The batterers or the
yeah.
perpetrators.
But in order to stop it, I would assume that each side would need resources and like work to do. So you're in this field, but so do you know what does that look like? And do the other side of domestic violence, those who are causing it, do they have resources, or are people working with them?
So there are limited resources for those that are the perpetrators, which it does suck that they don't have a vast majority or a variety of resources to choose from, because when we look at domestic violence, perpetrators are not times, well, I was probably like 8, because now it's changing, because women are being the batterers as well, as we shift in this new time or whatnot. But it's not that many resources, and I think that's probably because a lot of times we have more sympathy for the person that's being abused, and so we open up everything to cater to them, which nothing's wrong with that. But again, in order to stop the perpetuating cycle of
Mm-hmm.
domestic violence, we need something there as a roadblock for those that actually do it, are the perpetrators. So it is small resources, but there are some. I can't think of the one off the top of my head. But there's one that's specifically for men. And then when they go through court, if they have to go through that court system, the court refers them to some programs. They do, but most of the resources are for those that are survivors of domestic violence. The only thing I would say, as far as here in Columbus, as far as a resource, there's not enough shelters. There's only one shelter here for domestic violence survivors to escape to when they feel like they're in a situation where they're going to die.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. That's not fair. But I'm talking to some other colleagues of mine that are doing this work. They're working on it.
Okay.
They are. They're working on it.
Yeah, because it seemed like it would be. I don't know. It just seemed like it would be more like when I process it, hear stories, and just talking things through.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like I definitely understand and support that we have plenty of resources for those who are going through it. But I'm like, in order for, I don't know if I want to use the word stop, but in order to continue to address it, something needs to be in place for them too. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, it's going to, the same behavior is going to keep on going.
Yeah.
Because they need
change.
Yeah, they need change. They need something to help them. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Before we get ready to close, to the women that are listening, what are some nuggets that you would give them? It could be a woman that may be listening now that is going through domestic violence, or maybe somebody that know of a sister friend that may be going through domestic violence, would you give us a couple of nuggets that they can take and put in their toolbox?
Yeah, so my thing is I always tell women or anyone that's finds themselves in a situation where they're being abused is don't think that you're going through it alone. Don't think that you're the only one, because there are a lot of people that are out here that are experiencing domestic violence. Some people are just not speaking up about it because it's an embarrassing situation. But however, do do talk, find somebody that you're confident and confiding in, that you know your business won't be out on the 7 o'clock news, and just talk to them about what you're experiencing and what you're going through. Also, you may even want to give them like your location where you are. If you have an iPhone, give your location to them just for safety reasons, because a lot of times survivors get into these incidents and they may get knocked out or something like that. Their friend is looking for them, but if they got that location, they're like, okay, she's not answering her phone. Let me go over to wherever the location of the phone is. So always find somebody that you're confident in telling what you're going through, and then you're not going through this alone. Other people are going through it as well. And it's hard. As easy as I say it, I know it's hard. Put yourself first. Like, put yourself first, or even consider, if you have children, think about your children and how this is going to affect, how it's affecting them now and how it's going to affect them long term. And I mean, just put yourself first. Put yourself first. Link with some resources. Know that you matter. You do. Like, you matter. You have substance. Know that you do have a voice. Know that you do have a voice. And that you can overcome. Like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of times we're going through it, we're trapped in this darkness, but there really is light at the end of the tunnel. And I don't care if you have to walk, crawl, or scoot to get to that light. Do that.
Yes.
Keep moving through. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in it, because you can get past it. You can remove yourself from it, of course, with a safety or a safe way. But use me as an example who did not think that it was possible, and now I'm on the other side where I'm in that space of light. And so you can do it. You can do it. I believe you can do it. I do.
Well, thank you for sharing those nuggets. Domestic violence survivor, gun violence survivor, you're an author and advocate. How do people find you? Like, if somebody reach out to you, do you talk to people? Okay, so how will someone listening to this podcast find you? Yes, if they found themselves in a situation.
So I'm on social media as Diona Clark, DIONA CLARK. So that's Facebook. On Instagram, I am Diona Live Out Loud. And then on Twitter, I think I'm the same, but I'm not really active on Twitter like that. Also, they can go to my website, which is www.liveoutloudforyou.org. And so it's spelled LIVOUTLOUD, the number 4, and then the letter U.org.
Okay, so right before we get ready to wrap up, we have what we call rapid fire growth questions, right?
Let's go. I was a little scared when I saw that, but I was like, But come on, I'm ready.
They're easy. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Share one of your favorite affirmations.
Oh, man. One of my favorite affirmations. I feel like, and it's my own, is like the I am affirmations. Like, just being and seeing myself as who I want to be. So I am great. I am a good person. I am a great worker. I'm a good friend. I'm a great daughter. I'm a good dancer. I am happy. I am love. I am joy. So saying all of that, put me in that disposition of who I am. Who I am. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. I am, and then whatever falls after, whatever comes after that.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Name a book or self-help tip that helped you in your growth development as a woman and or as a domestic violence survivor.
Man, I will put in a plug and say my own book, even though I do use it as
wait a minute, hold on. Drop the name of the books. We forgot that. Yes, drop the name of the book.
So I have 2 books, and the first one is called Survival is Victory, and that actually tells and talks about my story. And then, of course, after each chapter, I have like nuggets and thoughts and reflections, because I believe that when you write things down, there's a connection between the brain and things like that. So my first book is Survival is Victory, and then the second book is Top Shelf Lady. And so both of them are the bomb.
Where will somebody find the book at?
You can go on Amazon or my website to get the book.
Okay.
If you go on my website, I usually autograph it and ship it out. But a book that helped me, man, I may not remember everything in this book, but I just remember, like, at the beginning, after my incident, I just kept reading this thing over and over. It was called 10 bad things or bad decisions that women make in a relationship. Man, I ate that book up in 2005, 6.
Let's see if we can. Do you remember the author?
I think she was like a lady that always appeared on the Ricky Lake show. That's how old it was. Girl,
let's see if we can find it real quick. You said 10 bad things that women make?
Yeah, 10 bad things or decisions that women make in relationships.
Hold on. Bear with us, y'all. Let me see if I can find this book. Decisions.
And I still got that book. Man, I can't throw it away.
Do you?
I can't. I still have that book.
So you still revisit it here and there?
I ain't gonna lie. I don't revisit it here from there, but it's something in me, not like I used to in the beginning, but something won't let me throw that thing away. And
so we got 10 bad... No, this is 10 bad choices. Any of these?
Maybe so. Maybe the 10 bad choices.
Let's see.
That ruin Black women's lives.
Is that one?
I think so. When I see the book, yep,
that's it.
Girl, that is the book. That is the book, girl, and that lady used to always be on Ricky Lake, honey, giving them women advice. 1999. Shut your mouth.
Okay, y'all. So the book is called 10 Bad Choices That Ruin Black Women's Lives by Dr. Grace Cornish. I hope I said the last name right. So there it is. That's the book that she's talking about that she cannot let go.
Girl.
So this must be a really good book.
It is. I keep it.
It got it got 5 stars, really?
It's a nice book.
Okay. All right. I may have to check it out.
Yes.
You said she used to always be on the Ricky Lake show. Oh my goodness.
Girl, yes.
That is. So is there anything that I have not asked you that you want to share, that you want to say to the audience before we close?
I'm gonna put myself out there, like how I am relating to men or the opposite sex right now in this space. Like, I'm attracting healthy men. I will say that.
Come on, yes.
Healthy men. I am attracting healthy men, and so now it's like I get a choice of choosing who I want to
date
or be with. So like I'm dating, and like dating is so much fun.
Stop. Put a pause in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit, y'all. Cause you dating somebody here in Columbus, like, cause I feel like Columbus is hard.
Wait, no, wait a minute. Like I when I say dating, it's only one person, but then
like from Columbus.
Not from but here, but they are
so it's
here.
An implant.
They are located
okay,
here.
I just want to make sure. I just wanted to.
Girl, no,
they're not from Columbus. No. I'm sorry, Columbus. I know I've been here 20 plus years, but.
No. It's different.
Okay.
Different.
Yeah. I knew. Listen, I had to confirm. Like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, implant. That makes sense now.
But I'm not dating just one. Like
listen, you don't need to put all eggs in one basket. Yeah, I don't believe in that.
I don't believe in that.
This version of Tamekia. So yes,
because I'm gonna get my options too.
Yes,
like, we have options. So
yes, I love it. Yes, mm-hmm. And so this is the fully healed side.
See?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I love it. Is there anything else?
That's it. So I guess I put that plug in to let women know, like, after you become healed, like, you can, like, there's life after trauma.
Yep.
And the relationship, I should say.
And listen, important part, don't put all your eggs in one basket. No. Have options. There's nothing wrong with just dating A, B, C, and D. And just having fun. I feel like dating should be fun, but we put all these restrictions on it. And
all this other stuff. And this is like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Why all these questions? No, I don't want to do this.
Go to the movies, or go out of town.
Yeah.
That's my ice cream. Laugh, joke. Not all that hard stuff.
So, we're getting ready to close. Listen, y'all, I hope you all have enjoyed Happy Hour Conversations with our guest, Diona Clark. I am your girl, Tamekia R. Moon. Closing out. I will check you all out next week. Anything you want to say?
No, we're clear. Thank you so much.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining the Happy Hour Conversations podcast, where we discuss heavy, emotional, and raw conversations sprinkled with laughter. Be sure to follow us on IG at Happy Hour Conversations Podcast, and also subscribe to the podcast to stay tuned to our weekly Happy Hour Conversations. I am your girl, Tamekia R. Moon, and I'll see you next week.